ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا إنه من يهديه الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Respected viewers, respected guests, respected viewers all over, I extend to you the best greetings by saying may the peace and blessings of the Almighty be upon you all. I start this evening by witnessing, as always, there is no deity worthy of our worship. There is no deity worthy of our praises. There is no deity worthy to be glorified except Allah the Almighty, except the Almighty Creator, the Lord of the worlds. I beseech Allah to bestow His countless peace and blessings upon the soul of our teacher Muhammad al-Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wasallam and upon his household. May the peace and blessings of Allah be with you out there, dear viewers all over as we start today. I ask Allah in His mercy to guide us aright and lead us through in our discussion tonight. Essentially, respected viewers, this topic tonight on Family Hour is very important. And it's very important to the extent that it's something that affects our current disposition and our current value system. Because, you know, when you have a society where children upbringing is being misconstrued, we need to be prayerful, because the aim and the goal of every parent is to have children that would, you know, take the family values and family name, take it to greater heights, that will be able to accentuate and promote the pattern, the right norms, the norms and the values that that are not inglorious to family names. And when you have, just as we have the problem, you know, the society is being faced with today, when you have instances where you have children who would go to the extent of killing their parents or relatives for the purpose of material wealth, then we know that there is a problem. And I would like to give some examples and instances, especially based on some of the current happenings, because these are children that have been brought up within the family setting, within the family circle. How is it therefore possible that these children who have been brought up within the family circle will turn around and become the killers of the members of the same family, whether you call it nucleus family or nuclear family or the extended family? Again, let me start with the example of what happened with the recent Kano assassination, the Kano killings, when a young man and his group of assailants, you know, when they went to the house of a relative of theirs, you know, not a stranger. They didn't go to the house of a stranger. They didn't miss their way. It was a well-planned, calculated step at exterminating the entire family. They went to their house because they are used to going to the house. But this time around, they went as devils. They went, at the time the woman, rahimahullah, may Allah forgive her, you know, and bless her. The woman and her children were in the house. And these guys killed them, cold-blooded, including the babies. So the question is, what is wrong with our values? Something is definitely wrong. And when, with allegedly, what we heard that the young man allegedly said was that he wanted to exterminate everybody that is competitive, or like a kind of a competitor in the inheritance circle within that society. And that's exactly what he did. He eliminated the people, he killed those children, and he killed the woman, you know, and he went, and to the extent that they were calling his name. That, how can you kill us? We are together. It showed the level of the evil in our society, and it's so sad and it's so painful that children that we raise up within the family, they will turn around and kill members of the same family who saw them growing up. فَإِنَّ لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. This is a problem. And honestly, this is a problem, because if we don't see it, because what goes around has its own way of coming around. The problem is that, or the danger is that, we see it happening to some families today. It could happen to any other family in the moral. And the bottom line is what we have to identify. And that is the aim of our lesson tonight. The second example was the example of, this was in Jigawa State. The young man whose father, there is a system whereby you put your child as your next of kin, right? So this man put his first child, the first son in the family, as his next of kin. Quite right. And he did what was right, because this was his first child, his first son. And we live in a patriarchal society where males are celebrated, and somehow females are objectified. So this man put his child as his next of kin. And that was right. Nothing is wrong with that. Now the child that has been placed as the next of kin had the intention, he got the wrong information that as the next of kin, you are entitled to get your father's entitlement or pay, if he dies in active service, and you are the one, as the next of kin, you are the one to collect his entire entitlement, what he has lived, what he had lived to work for. You are the one that is going to collect his money. And this young man was trying to find out from people, so if I'm going to collect my father's money, perchance he dies, so what's going to happen? How much is it? And they told him, this money is huge, man. I said, it's huge money. And he said, what? Huge money? So he started boasting among his mates and his friends, and they were saying, oh, now I am an NOK, stuff. I am an NOK. An NOK means that I am going to take my father's money in case he dies. So this young man was not saying the thought that very soon he's going to die. He's going to die, That's like wishing his father death. فَإِنَّ لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. This is sad. And I want to say this is very sad. It's not only sad, it's very painful that your own child could turn around to wish you dead. So the young man was waiting, and in his early 20s was, the father would go here and there, travel to places and all this. And in his own mind, he was quietly waiting and wishing that his father will go out, but shouldn't come back. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. This is sad and ominous. I mean, how can you imagine a child that would want the father to die? So why did you give birth to the child? To kill you? I mean, you give birth to the child so that the child might be a source of joy, an apple of your eyes, right? And here is a child that wished you dead. He wished you had died. He wished you had traveled and you never came back. This is sad. So anyway, the boy waited and the father did not die. So the father, voluntarily retired from active service, and it happened that he by himself collected his entitlement by himself. He didn't die so that this young man, who presumably was thinking that he was going to be the one to collect the entitlement, he didn't die so that the young man could collect the entitlement. Rather, it was the father himself that collected his money, which was quite right? So the boy felt so sad. In fact, from information gathered, the day they were to move to their permanent accommodation, so to put, the young man wasn't too happy. It would be seen visibly on him that he wasn't really happy. He was just feeling so sad, feeling so down. And somebody asked, why are you so, what's the problem? Why are you not happy we're living in this space? And he couldn't disclose to anybody the content of his heart until they got back home. So after settling down back at home with the families and friends and everybody now living his normal life after retirement, the father, after Salatul Asr, after the Asr prayer, he went to pray Asr and he came back to his bedroom to take some rest, and he didn't know that a young man has been preparing a machete to kill him. And the young man quietly, while his father was asleep, he quietly sneaked in and he used the machete on the neck, all over to kill his father. And he killed the father in a very cold blood and in a very bad way. This to me is very sad and it's very painful. So the man died in a very bad way, very, very bad way. Subhanallah, that was what happened in the case of the young man. And this happened in Jigawa State. Now, the next point I want to mention is, I have 4 examples here. The next point, and why I'm bringing this to the fore is that so that we all can think through it. That these are not things taken from the blues. These are things that are happening live in our society. This one happened in Lagos when a boy locked his father. This one, the father wasn't sleeping. He locked his father in the house, and he poured peppers, a kind of a pepper spray in the father's eyes. He kind of ambushed his father, and he poured the pepper spray in his eyes. He had prepared knives, machetes, and all this. So he was struggling with his father. This one, the father wasn't sleeping. He was struggling, but because he has immobilized the father was struggling to open his eyes, and as he was struggling to open his eyes, he was receiving machetes all over his body, and he killed. The father will struggle here and run there, and the boy will run after his father. This is not a case of father sleeping. This is a case of a son struggled with his father. He locked up the house and killed the father. La ilaha illallah. Until the man went down. God have mercy. The man went down and he died. And the son was standing on his father. He killed him. The neighbors were around and trying to rescue the baby. He had locked the door. And after killing his father, he came out and he was arrested. And of course, I don't know what's happening to the young man right now, but the point is that he did something so sad and dastardly. That happened not in the film, in real life. Real life. So, what kind of children? And when he was asked, it was just because of money. Just because of money, nothing else than money. He needs money, and the father said, no, I can't give you this money because you have to go to school. You gotta go to school. You go get the money and you go get yourself, stuff like this and messed up. No, you have to go to school. And that was what the father did. That angered the boy. And he felt that the only way he could pay the father back was to assassinate him and kill him. This is so sad. So sad. Now the last example was a girl, a daughter. This one happened somewhere in Lagos called Surulere. Surulere was a particular place in Lagos where, a girl locked up the what do you call it, the mother, and she in a way locked the mother up and this one was kind of 1 million naira. Because of 1 million naira, the girl locked up the mother and asked the mother to bring the 1 million naira, and the mother refused to bring it. So the mother, while the mother was to get this off her, was trying to ensure that the girl did not take the 1 million naira, the girl got a sledgehammer. This one wasn't a knife or machete or whatever. The girl got a sledgehammer, and he continued. This one, she didn't immobilize the mother. The mother was old, and was aged, and she wasn't really strong. So the girl got the sledgehammer. I will beckon the mother, where is the money? And the mother said, I'm not going to give you, and hit the mother. This is mother looking at the daughter, and the daughter was beckoning on the mother, bring the money, and the mother will say no, and she will hit the mother, pump, head, this way, and the mother will run his way, and the girl will go after the mother and hit her, and the mother will run and all over the flat, and the mother kept on running and running and running until she died. The girl killed the mother. Oh my God. These are not fables. These are not tales. These are things that really happened to people in our neighborhood. So now the question is, why do we have this kind of incident? This is a deeply troubling development And it is important for us to begin to look at it and look at the causes. The possible causes I have been able to identify, and I know we might have other causes, is because we have the issue of misguidance. We have the erosion of the moral and spiritual values. When we have moral restraint given up, people do not really understand their limits. There is no boundaries in terms of morality. So this kind of a thing can happen where moral values have been eroded, and we base our training, the training of our children, purely on materialism. And if this is the way we look at it, then it's so sad. Now, whenever we have this kind of a case, we have the tendency of losing our our ethos, our ethos in terms of what shapes us and distinguishes us from the wrong side and wrong value. And furthermore, the spiritual values could erode when the fear of Allah diminishes in the hearts of the children. When a child is not being raised with the fear of Allah, when a child is being raised with materialism, the only thing that matters is money. If it can bring money, then it's okay. If it can't bring money, then it's not useful. So furthermore, the respect for parents, the values which we had, those of us who are grown up, we have the value of respect for our parents. Some of us, till we grew up and aged, we can't look at our parents eyeball to eyeball out of respect and reverence. But today, if we have our children who have been raised with the wrong values, they look at their parents eyeball to eyeball, and nothing is amiss. There is no respect for parents. Furthermore, when we reduce our life to material gain, and then even when the most sacred boundaries are being imploded and being crossed, then we know that is a problem. Furthermore, when we have excessive materialism and obsession with wealth, you are not important if you don't have money. And this is the kind of society we live in today. Somebody is not seen as being important except he or she has money. So is it only money that makes someone to be valuable? And that is why you have so many young men today. They go into Yahoo, they go into other stuff because they want to get a sense of importance and a sense of value. I think we need to begin to appraise our value system, our sense of values, so that we can balance up what we have and what we are passing to our children. So when we are obsessed with materialism and wealth, then there is no rules. Every rule can be broken, all because of money. When we don't place a child as being important, like I know there are parents that don't value even their children, except the children. There is a child amongst them that brings money, and they don't ask him or her, how did you get the money? How did you work for the money? No, they just bring money. That's money. Just once you get money, it's no problem. If you can't bring money, you are not useful. This is not a very good development. Furthermore, when we begin to feel entitled in our strive to getting money, for example, feeling entitled here could mean when you allow your child to wear the garments of your status, the garment or the toga of your money, as in you are a big man, your child automatically becomes a big man or a big boy. When you are, for example, a Mr. President or Mr. Governor, and your child automatically begins to parade himself as a president or a governor, then there is a problem here. Because you are you. Your son is your son. Place everybody in clear positions because if there is confusion removes these boundaries. But once there is clarity brings respect for values. So now this feeling entitled can make a child, like the young man that killed the father, because he feels that I am the NOK, I have the right, like he said, I have the right to get the money. This is so bad and so sad. Furthermore, part of the causes that can lead to this kind of a thing, because no matter what we do at a social level, except the family gets it right, there is a problem. When we have poor upbringing of our children, and absence of moral discipline. This, in and of itself, can create this kind of problem when parents don't care about the upbringing of their children. And I know there are parents who will go and fight for their children. They don't want to know whether the child is right or wrong. They don't want to know whether who is right or wrong. All they know is that my child should not be touched. Untouchable children, untouchable children are parents. I got a case of a father who went to the school and slapped the teacher of the son for spanking the son. And of course, the son was right, but nobody cares about who's right or wrong. The point is, how dare you touch my son? Hey, so if you raise a child this way, what else do you expect? What else do you expect? So when we erode moral discipline and we have poor upbringing of our children, then children will grow up without firm moral guidance, And then when we as parents fail to set boundaries for our children, and then our children grow without necessarily respecting boundaries or respecting people's areas of boundaries without intruding into it. We have children that they don't care about what they say, they don't care about where they go, they don't care about anything, they just care about themselves. And these days they care about phone. Children can't greet elders. All they're doing is just they are 100% on their phone. They're just passing, even crossing the road from one road to the other. And if you try to talk to them and say, guy, this is wrong, what's your problem? They ask you, what's your problem about me? It gets to the level where society is just nose diving, that everybody is minding his or her own business without due respect to boundaries. So when parents avoid discipline or fail to set boundaries, then there is a problem. Furthermore, sometimes religious teachings, with no thanks to religious teachers where the pedagogy is only on rituals alone. The character formation are eroded. The children, and like the case of this incident in Kano, this young man that killed people go to madrasa. So the question is, what does he learn in madrasa? So this kind of idea of rote memorization of the Quran is going to take nobody anywhere. And I've said it in different fora that the madaris, the Islamiyah schools, they're missing the point. And with due respect to our malams who are exposed to this, because they go about teaching, and I'm not saying this is wrong, no. But what is the value of a child who memorizes the Quran in the head but has no Quran in the character? Because Islamiyah they go to, they just mug whatever they mug, that kind of indoctrination. They just put in their head what they don't practice. They don't know they're putting in their head. They cannot really practicalize it. They're having it in their head, but they don't have it in their character. And that's the case of the young man who came off Islamiyah and got his global assailant and went to kill people. So these are things that we need to begin to look at very closely. So the religious teaching, when they erode in terms of the character reformation of the children, when they focus more on rote memorization, then this is a problem. Excuse me. Furthermore, there is the need to look at the psychological dimension to it and the social pressure, because we cannot take away drug abuse here, because nobody can be in his right senses and will raise machete, raise harmful things, and kill people with his eyes open. Something that's taken his sense away. Because of doing that, that young man or the girl can't be in his right senses. That's the truth here. The young man or the girl can't be in his right senses because the wrong values. Because of the psychological state. The guy is a drug addict. So what are we talking about here? Furthermore, when we have the issue of social pressures in terms of trying to compare themselves constantly with others, they feel that they are not making money like their friends are making money. They feel that my parents didn't strive for me enough. Otherwise, if my father and mother had striven for me enough, by now I should be a oh my God, I should be a multi-billionaire like my friend. Excuse me? Multi-billionaire at what age? And I will say the viral videos, that children in their early 20s, they are spraying money. A lot of money. How did they get the money? Nobody wants to know. So when children try to compare themselves with their friends and their colleagues and all this stuff, and this is sad because this takes nobody anywhere, because the child feels that what makes him important is just the money, and this is pure materialism. Furthermore, when anger, envy, and entitlement combine without moral control, then we have violent children. Like the child, the young man that called himself an NOK. What did he do? He felt entitled. He felt envious of his father. He felt that he was angry that the father didn't die. And eventually he went ahead and killed the father. And this is a problem. And this could also, part of the thing that could happen is there is no communication between the father and the mother and the children. We're not communicating right values to them. We are not talking to our children because we're not asking them questions. Quite a number of parents, they have this choked up lined up of what do you call it now? Duties where they have to they have to go to work. Sometimes they even go to work on weekends. So they have little time for the children. They have little time for classrooms and others like that. So what they do is they just carry on, and they leave the children at the mercy of the house help. And this lack of honest communication between the father, the mother, and the children will make the children to have wrong ideas, especially with the ones they are taking from their from their friends and the negative influencers in a larger society. Now, taking a cue from the issue of the young man that killed the father because of inheritance, there is a need to constantly talk to our children about these things, this issue of inheritance stuff. So when we don't talk to them about these things, then they can go the wrong way. Now let us quickly take a look at the consequences of this when we base our value system only and purely on materialism. When the only thing that makes our children important or make them feel important is just either the money they have or the money we have. I think that is the need to look at the consequences on the larger society. Now, let me quickly mention here, the problem that many people have is that they tend to wear the toga of their office on their children. They make their children to assume their office, their status, even at school, either primary school or secondary school or tertiary institution. They make their children to wear their power. And so you can't talk to them. You can't discipline them, because you feel, don't you know me? I'm the son of, so you are the son of Mr. XYZ. Are you your father? You're just a son. So you have to work to be like your father. Because if the parents of your father had failed in bringing your father up the right way, then your father won't be who he is. So this kind of a tendency is there in many children, and it is the right and the duties, rather, it is the duties and responsibilities of the parents to begin to see how they can correct this. Now, what are the consequences of when we place the training and upbringing of our children strictly and purely on materialism? What are the consequences? Number one is the destruction of family units. Family units could be destroyed, and such as when you have mistrust between families. When family units are begin to be suspicious of themselves, then this itself can bring an issue such as what we're dealing with tonight. When the part of the thing that can be consequences, loss of societal moral compass, when children kill their parents. This is almost unheard of, that a child could kill the father. Like I never had this before in my life, but this is happening. These are not happening in films. These are happening in real life. I don't know, may Allah protect us against this. Furthermore, when we trivialize the sanctity of life, these are part of the consequences. Things that can happen is that, even if you look at the hadith of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he encourages that even if you want to kill an animal, that you should the bihata. You should make the animal to calm down. Don't just kill animals anyhow. That is animals. How can you therefore compare that to a child who lock the father up and begin to chase the father from one room to the other in their flat until he slaughtered the father in cold blood? فَإِنَّ لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَجِعُونَ. The sanctity of human life is being eroded. Furthermore, respect for elders is being eroded. This is a part of the consequences, because people don't respect their elders again. And society begins to normalize extreme selfishness. And this is not right, because everybody is on its own. You can just grab whatever you can grab and just move on. These are part of the problems in the larger society. Furthermore, is the legal and the spiritual consequences, because the spiritual consequences here could be that many people, and I know many of us, don't really think about the reality of the afterlife. It's sad. Many people don't really believe that there is something called afterlife. If you don't believe in it, that's your problem anyway. But the point is that a day shall come when we shall be resurrected. Don't you think this will never happen? Because the Creator who made you says so, that it will happen. So beyond the worldly punishment, some people might escape worldly punishment. They get the best of lawyers. They're able to bribe their way through and others like that. And then they feel that if they can they can escape the worldly consequences of their actions, they can also escape the hereafter. But it doesn't really happen that way. We have to be careful of what we do, because what we do is going to affect our akhirah, our hereafter. And of course, nobody wants to go to hell. Nobody wants to go to hell. Furthermore, part of the consequences is when family cohesion begins to wither away. There is this cohesion that you have within family setup. And I'm saying this against the backdrop of the Kano incident. Because before that incident happened, it was gathered that this young man that actually killed his family, he used to go to their house freely. He goes there, he eats, they give him money, they are free with themselves. And the same man can come around and slaughter the people who had helped him. I don't understand. I don't understand. The people that helped you, the people that assisted you, you grew up like the what do you call this now? He is the son of my brother, the daughter of my sister, and others like that. And this one comes around and slaughter the members of the same family which had fed him, which had clothed him, which had housed him at one time or the other. This is sad. Parents, we need to begin to think about this. And that is, look, and no thanks to, I'm sorry I'm using the word religious people. No thanks to people of religion. People of religion who are not godly. No thanks to you. And the reason I'm saying this is because when you just make your own religious practices to be only on money, just, year of your breakthrough, you got to get the money, you got to get this, then it's a problem. Furthermore, no thanks to those people who focus only on rituals of the religion. They're not talking about the moral of the deen. This is not good enough. Right? Because now people are de-emphasizing issue of morality, issue of character. How can it be possible? Take a look at it. In a society which is largely, populated by Muslims, for example, like Kano, the highest rate of drug addiction, allegedly, is there. So how can you explain this? So where is the religiosity? So it shows that people are just inundated with rituals, but they are not really willing to get down to the nitty-gritty of what the deen says in terms of the moral character. And remember that Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says that إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. I have only been raised to perfect best of characters, to perfect excellent characters. How can we return teaching of adab, excellent characters, to our Islamiyas? This is very important. May Allah make it easy for us. So finally, what can we do about this? Because talking about this is important, providing solution is even more important. Now, the first thing is there is the need to reinstill the Islamic teachings on respect and reverence for our parents. Children need to understand who are our parents. What is the Almighty saying about our parents? What are the things we need to do? What are the things we shouldn't do when we're dealing with our parents? And then by extension, even if somebody is not biologically your father or your mother, so long as that person is in the category, the age bracket of your father or your mother, that is your social father, that is your social mother, and the person deserves the same respect just like you. And this is very important. This is very important. We need to begin to think around this and talk about it, because it is not enough for us to say that no be him born me or no be me born am. No, it is important for us to say that I am not biologically the father, but I stand in the position of the social father. I can order him or order her, instruct him or instruct her, even if the father, the real biological father or mother, was not around, and he has to obey. This is the kind of society we have to begin to build. So we need to reinstill these values in our children. Children must be taught that parents are not obstacles to their success, like many children do see their parents as being obstacles to their success. They should understand. Children need to be taught to understand. Children need to be taught to understand that barakah of Allah, the blessings of Allah, lies in being good to our parents. And this is the truth. If a child does good to the parent, Allah's blessings will reign on that child. So our children need to learn these values, and they need to hearken with it. They need to live by it, so that they can receive the blessings from the Almighty. Furthermore, we need to understand that the connection with our parents, with our families, is more important than the material benefit, right? The connection we have with our parents, with our families, is more important than material benefit. Material benefit, fine and good, is fantastic, but then what about the respect we need to attach to our parents and our families? Furthermore, we need to take a look at the issue of talking about education, education, moral and spiritual education in our Islamiyah. I mentioned this earlier, and I just hope and wish that our ulama, our teachers, our religious teachers will give the right pedagogy in terms of teaching. I am not, like I said, I'm not kicking against that the children should memorize the Quran. And I know there are schools that are fundamentally set up only because they want their children to learn the Quran offhand. Fantastic, beautiful, brilliant. But what about, how do we tax the children to also internalize the teaching of what they are learning? But a child can have smart brain. And I got a case of one of our sheikh, Dr. Bilal Phillips, rahimahullah, may Allah continue to bless him and grant him long life and good health. He tells me, he mentions one of the lectures I listened to, that in the UK, at a certain time, brothers were going to greet and pay visit to prison. They discovered that a majority of the hardened criminals, as in not minor pilfering and all this, as in hardened drug addict, highway robbers, were hufaz al-Quran. People who memorize the Quran. As in they were hard drug addicts and hard criminals. They had at one time or the other memorized the Quran. So now the question is, of what use is the book when you put the book at the back of the donkey? Donkeys don't read book, right? So if a child learns the Quran but does not have the Quran in his character, of what use is that child's learning? So I want to appeal, with due respect to our ulama, let us begin to balance up what we are teaching our children, with Islamic precept. Now we can begin to have halakot, and circles where children are trained to internalize the teachings of what they have learned. What is Allah? You have memorized it. What is God saying about this? What is God saying here? Now you have it in your brain. Do you have it in your character? Let them begin to know how to practice this and put it as part and parcel of their character fabrics. Allah make it easy for us. So furthermore, we need to look at the issue of inheritance, because I think we are not really going by the standard of the Quran, because God Almighty Himself had shared every person's inheritance, whether the father or the mother, anybody that dies, the inheritance has been shared. So we need to allow our children to understand that there is no way you can take what doesn't belong to you, because God Himself had shared it. So you can't take what doesn't belong to you. Everything is already written in the book. So this one, there is a need for us to discuss this with our children. And in the family circles, this one is ditto for the incident of the Kano, because I understand the young man who eventually killed the entire family had killed two other people in the same extended family. And allegedly, his claim was that he was trying to eliminate people who are people that can contend with him, people that can contest with him when it comes to inheritance. فَإِنَّ لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. This is so sad. How can people behave like this? How? It is sad, man. It's sad. So there is a need for us to understand that you cannot take what does not belong to you when it comes to inheritance. You can only take what belongs to you. Furthermore, there is a need to teach how we can avoid unlawful earnings when people begin to see themselves as wanting to be rich at all costs. And I've had in my counseling with youngsters, in my discussion with some of our youngsters, some of them told me that, well, even if it's just to be rich for 1 year, or those of them who go into money rituals, stuff of a thing, even if just to be rich for 1 year, they want to be rich for 1 year and go to do money rituals, the yahoo, and then they get killed or die, it's okay for them, rather than suffering all their lives. These children don't understand that risk provision is in the hands of the Almighty. It's in the hands of the Almighty. It's not in the hands of anybody. And we need to understand this very, very importantly, so that people who are in a hurry, this inordinate, search or the urge to make money at all costs is going to send a wrong signal, and it doesn't help anybody. We don't want to send a wrong signal to the larger society that what makes people important is the money. So if you don't have money, you are not important. There is the need for us to begin to reappraise and rethink our pattern in the right direction, so that we will know that the right thing is the right thing and the wrong thing remains the wrong thing. May Allah have mercy on us. So young people must learn that wealth comes from Allah and His timing, and that what is taken unjustly never brings peace of mind, right? What you take unjustly, whether by stealing, by rituals, it doesn't bring peace of mind. And that when you do whatever money rituals, well, you cannot steal what belongs to you. And when you take what doesn't belong to you, then you are undoing yourself. Allah has decreed whatever anybody is going to be in life, and nobody can change it. And Allah tells us in the glorious Quran, and in the heavens is your provision and what you are promised. That everything that we are going to be provided with, it's going to come from Allah, and there is nothing that anybody can do about it. Furthermore, we need to have stronger community and religious leadership. We need to implore our imams, our scholars, our elders to address these issues directly in their sermons and condemn violence clearly and emphasize consequences of violence, killing people in this world and hereafter. Because when you are silent, and many people don't want to talk about it for whatever reason, when you are silent over it, it tends to be seen that it's normal, whereas it is not normal. There is a need for us to also look at the mental awareness, and because mental health awareness is important, particularly as regards those who are into drugs. Because like I mentioned earlier, there is nobody that would be into drugs that will be in his right senses. 90% of those people who end up killing other people, they have been marauded or inundated or taken over by drugs. And that is exactly what we're witnessing today. That people in their right senses, nobody in his right sense will kill other people. Nobody in his right sense will kill other people. So mental health awareness needs to be brought to the fore by discussing and treating psychological issues and trying to encourage our youth to avoid drugs and seek help from Allah whenever they have challenges. People should understand that the solution to their problems is not, it doesn't lie in some of the things that they are looking for. You're looking for money through Yahoo by cutting corners. Solution to your problem does not really lie in these things. Rather, solution to your problem lie in the rahmah of Allah. In a concluding note, respected viewers and brothers and sisters, dear viewers, we need to understand that society is being faced at this moment with serious challenges, and we all need to close ranks. We need to get together to solve this problem of our society in a way that will bring peace and happiness to all. And let me also remind us that it is not enough for us to say, after all, it is not my children. After all, I'm not involved. Look, if the other person's children are not getting it right, then we cannot go to sleep, because these children who are not trained the right way, let it not be that in the morrow they're going to be a problem to our own children that we are training the right way. I know sometimes it could be a trial from Allah. I pray Allah in His mercy, whichever family that is going through this sort of trial, may Allah ease their fears and make it easy for them to cope with it the best way. But the bottom line is that we all need to get close together and make certain that I care for your family as you care for my family. It is not enough for you to see my son or my daughter doing the wrong thing and you look the other way. That's my son, that's my daughter, they are your son, they are your daughter. I mean, they belong to you too. So let us close ranks and build community of parents who will take interest in correcting other children when they see them do the wrong thing. And let me also say this. For parents who fight for their children, or for parents who raise children with and feeling children who feel entitled, please, I want to appeal in the name of Allah. Let us try to avoid this, because feeling entitled does not solve any problem. When you train big man children, big boys, they call them big boys, that's it. It doesn't take them anywhere. Let humility, respect for elders, respect for parents be taught to our children ab initio, so that when the child grow up, they grow up with the right values. And these are the people that will contribute positively to the growth and development of our society and our community. It is my fervent prayer that Allah in His almightiness and His mercy will meet us all at the point of our needs and help us to solve all our problems. Amen. And also I want to pray for those people who have lost their lives in the scourge of these children hacking or killing their parents or their family members. I ask Allah in His mercy to forgive them, because they died in a very sad way. May Allah have mercy on us. We're going to stop here today, and hopefully I'm going to go through some of the comments we have here tonight. We have a few comments. Jazakallah khair. I quite appreciate your lecture, directing us aright. Those who want to learn, may Allah direct us aright. I mean, thank you very much, my brother Jim Bakare. Yes, Jim Bakare. Jazakallah khairan. May Allah bless you. Also, we have Hajja Zainab. Jazakallah khair. May Allah reward you, and may Allah strengthen you too, inshallah. Okay, a brother was asking whether I'm in Armenia. No, I'm not in Armenia. I am in Nigeria. I'm in Nigeria, not an Armenian. Okay. So, okay. I mean, Sister Sauda, may Allah bless you too, and guide you aright and increase all our iman. We're going to stop here tonight. I ask Allah in His mercy to accept our prayers, forgive our sins, and give us the best in this world and the best in the hereafter. I want to thank you all for being with us tonight. I ask Allah in His mercy to bless our children and make them true apple of our eyes and the happiness of our hearts. Allahumma rabbana hab lana min azwajina wa dhurriyyatina qurrata a'yun waj'alna lil muttaqina imaman birahmatika ya afuw ya ghafur birahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Wa sallallahu wa sallim wa barika ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallim. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Sallu ala nabiyil kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.